ever find yourself scrolling on your phone all day only to end up regretting it later? Welcome to this episode of The Subtle Science, where we discuss the biological and psychological mechanisms behind this. Today, we have with us a renowned life coach, Namita Ambani, who has spent a lot of her time around teenagers, extensively organizing workshops for them. So, what do you do? Can you tell us a little bit more?
Sure. Thank you, Mishti, for having me on your show. I love talking about teenagers and I love the work I do with them. I'm a life coach and a business coach. I do spend a lot of time with teenagers and I also conduct workshops for them. Um, it's kind of my pet passion right now.
That's nice. So, what would you say is the biggest problem among teenagers at the moment?
I'd say it's something that we are all aware of. Screens is something that teenagers and their parents are struggling with.
Hmm. So, how would you say the screen affects our brain, and what impact does it have on our emotions and thoughts?
See, honestly, we are living in an current era, the current technology era. We cannot ignore screens. We need to be able to use them rather than them use us. It's a matter of
Yes.
technology controlling us versus us controlling technology, right? So, yes, misuse has a lot of side effects. We all read about it, but we don't think about it enough. We are not mindful enough. And that's also natural. With something new that's introduced into your life, you tend to kind of overdo it, and that's the phase we are in. It definitely, when you misuse it, when you overuse it, it definitely impacts your mind, your body, your routine, your ability to reach for goals.
So, I mean, we've all faced it. Screen time does make us feel groggy. What would you say is the biggest reason for this, and why are we so addicted to scrolling and spending all day on our phones?
See, the first thing, like I said, is it's something new that got which came in, right? Like it's like a new flavor of candy that's in the market, new type of candy altogether. So yes, everyone's rushing, everyone's overusing it for sure. The other reason, and that's something I deeply talk about in my workshops when I work with teens, is I'd like to explain it from Maslow's theory. Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Have you heard
Yes.
about it? Right, obviously. So, our basic needs are food, clothing, shelter, social, and then we come to a self actualization need. We've all learned that back in school. So in my workshop, I kind of introduce Maslow's theory in a concept based format where the teenager is thinking, what is it do I need first when I have nothing? And you will be surprised at the number of teenagers who, when I ask them, they are stuck in a desert, in a deserted land, dry, arid land, without clothing, food, shelter, with nothing, just their body. You will be surprised how many of them say mobile before water, right? So, why this addiction, why this priority setting has happened is obviously because of the dopamine it gives us. Earlier, just a little earlier, like I'd say even 10 years back or 15 years back, we would have to work for our dopamine.
Yes.
When I play a game, let's say I'm playing football, throw ball, paddle with my friends, I win or I don't win, the exhilaration of playing and then winning, if I do win, wow, that makes me happy and that makes me ecstatic and I have the dopamine. If I study, if I get a good score, pat on my back, a reward from my parents, I have the dopamine. Right now, the cheap dopamine that we are getting from just scrolling, seeing somebody else's life, looking at what's happening elsewhere, and thinking I'm getting knowledgeable, it's so easy. Dopamine is just 2 seconds away. And that also means it spikes and drops that easily and that quickly. So, obviously, if that is happening, you're going to feel addicted to it because you want it that quickly. You don't have to really work for it. Once you've convinced your parents to give you a telephone, a mobile, that's it. You've got your dopamine dose ready with you, and you've got access, and it's easy. So you're addicted.
I mean, I would say that is one of the biggest reasons for procrastination among us teenagers as well. I feel like when you get that hit of dopamine 2 scrolls away, it's much easier to obtain, as you said, as compared to solving a math problem and getting it correct, or playing football or throw ball. So I mean, yeah, dopamine definitely plays a role in the addiction. And apart from that, I've heard that screen time also does affect our sleep cycle. So blue light affects your it suppresses your melatonin production. So what would you say about the effects of blue light, and does it play such a big role, or do you think it's overstated?
I don't think the effect of screens is overstated. And when you say blue light, you mean all types of
Yes,
screens, right?
definitely.
And you're the expert here, and
Mm.
you'll be able to tell me more. But as as a layperson, I would think that it activates you. It
Mm-hmm.
activates your mind rather than tuning down. Like, just like you have turn-in services in the evening in a hotel, they come in, they soothe your room with they put soothing lights, they'll put a little candle. They're turn down services, right? Because
Mm.
you're getting ready for the night. The same way, we need to use turn down services for our mind, right? And we are not doing that.
Mm.
What we are doing is flashlighting it.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Also, I would say that screen time does increase anxiety levels in teenagers. So have you, as you've spent a lot of time around teenagers, would you say that it can make you more prone to such you know disruptions in our mental health?
Actually, I'd say it makes you prone to two things. One is,
Mm-hmm.
studies have shown that if you're addicted to social media early on in early teenage, you're opening your mind up to more addictions, more
Mm-hmm.
in your future life, and more types of addictions, be it alcohol, be it drugs, be it so many things, right, that you can be addicted to today. It opens you up for that. It's riskier. And the other thing is, it actually does open you up to social anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
because overthinking what's happening on social media and the kind of effect it has on your life, on your body, on your mind, like, it creates social self, it makes you it makes you overthink about who you are, how you're
Yeah.
looking, what people are thinking about you becomes more important than who you actually are. And that's because it's so easy to throw up opinions on social media. It's just, you just post something and you say
Yeah.
click, and that's it.
And you're constantly comparing yourself to others online, which can also reduce self-esteem. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's so easy for someone to throw a hate bomb at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy. And because uh, because we've just kind of rushed into this whole social media and the whole screen thing, right? It just kind of hit us like a big wave. It's not something we prepped for. It's not something we said, okay, you know what, let's take this one at a time.
Yes.
After the wave has hit Gen Z, that's when for Gen Alpha, the parents are like, okay, let me not give my child a mobile till certain age. But Gen Z is already kind of under the wave. So I think we need to plan better. We need to know what we want to do with our time and life.
I mean, yeah, considering the next generation, lots of children, they're always, using their screens while eating, and they get addicted to these shows. And as I've interned at, a place for speech and language therapy, I've noticed that these, shows, they can often cause like motor delays, developmental delays in children. And yeah, I feel screen time definitely does, have a massive impact, especially when you're children, when you're in that age where you're growing, and your brain is adapting to your surroundings when you're developing. So it definitely does play a crucial role. And one more thing that I wanted to ask you about is the term doom scrolling. We've seen it everywhere. What are the effects of doom scrolling on, how does it negatively impact us?
It puts you in a constant cycle of depression, I think, because you're constantly reading about things that have gone wrong with people around you, world around you, and you're constantly scrolling bad news. I think the term got introduced in COVID, somewhere around
Yes.
COVID, and from there it's just kind of been there, so much that some of the millennials like me have stopped looking at news. It's been so bad.
Mhm.
uh, but some people get aware that, okay, why am I subjecting myself to constant negative news, and can step out of it. Some people just thrive on it also. But yeah, it's a challenge. It can really put you in depression. It can make you think the whole world is crumbling when it probably is not.
Definitely, I think it does affect the limbic system of your brain.
Okay.
And you know that's a basically a part of your brain which consists of the hippocampus, the amygdala, thalamus, hypothalamus. So basically, these are all parts that work together to regulate your emotions. So the like you know the biggest effect that doom scrolling has on this system is basically your amygdala, which you know is a fear response. It induces fear responses. It
Oh.
definitely does increase the stimulation of the amygdala, which in turn, you know, increases fear and negative emotions in your brain. So cognitively, also, it does, you know, impact the brain.
And imagine if you're acting from a point of view of fear. If you're
Mhm.
constantly living in fear that something is going to go wrong, even on a normal day, you're going to feel like, okay, I'm getting attacked. People are, putting me down. Okay, someone's going to kidnap me. Living in that kind of mindset cannot allow you for normal growth.
Definitely, to, you know, thrive, to grow as a
Yeah,
person, it
definitely not.
hampers with your individual development.
Yeah.
So I personally, I also find myself doom scrolling sometimes, and then I end up procrastinating all my work. You know, sometimes when I can't, I don't get a math problem. My first reflex is to go to my phone, and I have spoken to my friends about this, and I know, you know, some of them do relate to this as well. So, what would you say? I mean, how do we overcome this?
Okay, so see, overcoming from the point of view of the teenager or the child, and overcoming from the point of view of the parent, uh, both need to work together, right?
Mhm.
See, from the teenager's point of view, the only thing that I feel we can do for them, and they're very intelligent beings, and that's why I'm saying this, is make them aware.
Mhm.
So, when I was talking about the need hierarchy theory, making them aware that where the hierarchy lies, and making them aware of whether they want to rule technology or technology has to rule them. That's just the awareness. Just seed the awareness, make them think, and that's typically what I do in my workshops. Because as you would know personally, telling somebody do this never works.
Never works.
So
Yes.
awareness is all you can do. Seed the awareness for the teenagers, and then let their experiences
Mhm.
take the toll. um, as for parents, honestly, I'd say that what's happened is, because parents' lives, our lives, I mean, I'm a parent, so I'll say our lives have gotten so busy that a lot of us constantly engage our kids in back to back activities.
Mhm.
There is growing up, right? So there is no unstructured free play or free time. We are constantly sending them to classes. As soon as they're back from school, we send them somewhere and then somewhere. So the child actually doesn't know what to do when doing nothing.
Mhm.
And all these activities and habits become triggers towards getting addicted to screen. Because the minute you're sitting doing nothing, you're so uncomfortable that that mobile gives you all the comfort that you need. So this awareness for parents is very, very, very important, that they need to be able to work on giving free play. The other thing they need to really, really allow their children to do is make mistakes and fall down on their own.
Uh-huh.
As a parent community, I would say we've become very, very protective, overprotective of our children. We're not allowing them to make the mistakes.
Mhm.
So our instant reaction to something we don't want the teenager to do is to snatch the phone away, let's say, or take it away, or deprive. And that's only going to make it more important. Think about it, you're giving it so much importance that, okay, if I take this thing from your life will be good. So this is so important. The teenager is going to be like, all the more the phone is so important, right? So that approach of not allowing the teenagers to make their own choices, mistakes, fall down, get up, it's all right, which is what I'm saying, awareness. The
Mhm.
parents need to seed the awareness. The children need to listen with an open mind. As long as they're okay to make, be addicted for a while, and then realize that it's
Uh-huh.
not working for them at that moment, and even in the long run, that's enough. That will be enough. Like, I won't say every single child that I've worked in a workshop for addiction of
Mhm.
screens has had this response, but many of them voluntarily gave their phones to their moms and said, you know what, I'll tell you when I need it. And these are, I'm talking about school kids. I'm talking about
Hmm.
ninth graders, eighth graders who need to really, really focus on their schooling at that moment, right? They were so addicted that there was no life without phone. You can't tell me to put my phone away. Uh, the parents were fearing aggression if they take the phone away. From there, creating an awareness bit by bit, and creating a thinking mindset and an open talking mindset in the house, that it's okay to talk about your problems, it's okay to talk about
Uh-huh.
things. Slowly we came to a stage where, I would say about 3 to 4 months of work, we came to a stage where the child was able to give his phone away and say, I'll tell you when I need it, and had the faith in the parent that the parent will give it when he needs it,
Hmm.
you know. So this is what I feel: awareness and restraint from the parents, awareness in the teenagers. That should lay the right foundation.
But would you say that, adults also sometimes, parents are also addicted to their phones and they find it hard to stay away from their phones as well?
100%.
So, I mean, what would be the difference between the two? Even, in terms of adults, how would they cope with it? Because they are also addicted. So, I mean, if they are not able to distance themselves from their own phones, how are they supposed to ask their teenagers to do it? So, what would you say is the difference between teenagers and adults, in terms of de-addiction and, why they're so addicted to their phones?
So I'd say, the difference in the teenager and adult mindset is that teenagers, um, like short term satisfaction, like
Mm-hmm.
they're used to very instant gratification, and their thinking is a little bit short term. I'll give a little bit of credit here to adult brain and say that, they can think a little bit in the longer term. So they can think, like, I've seen a lot of parents giving up so many life choices because they don't want their children to follow it, purely because they've realized it's not good for them.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the catch, right? You, as a parent, you made your mistakes, you realized where you were wrong, you corrected yourself. You can only hope that your teenager is looking at the right actions and making the right choice.
But definitely, it's easier to learn by experience than to, uh, you know,
It's more impactful to learn by
yeah.
experience, and it's more likely to stick
Mm-hmm.
than just by words. Yeah. So, Mishti, I want to share one incident with
Mm-hmm.
you, right? Let me warn you, it's pretty shocking.
Okay.
But it goes to show how extreme screen addiction can be. There was this teenager, his parents were
Mm-hmm.
stepping out for the weekend, and he obviously had this exciting gaming weekend planned for himself. He sat down on his chair in front of the screen, put on his gaming. He kept at it, kept at it, kept at it, kept at it. When his parents came back from the weekend, they found him on the same chair
Mm-hmm.
in front of his game, which was still on, but dead. And obviously, after investigation, they found that he
Uh-huh.
had a medical incident on spot. Also, they found that he had not moved from that chair for 48 hours. So imagine your mind suppressing your body's need for food, uh, using the washroom, water. All those basic requirements were sidelined by this addiction to the screen, which made itself the most important thing in this child's life. And just not listening to his own body is what
Mm-hmm.
cost him his life. That's how extreme it can get. It's pretty scary. If you let technology rule you, this is where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, it's really scary because all of us do find it a little hard to, withdraw ourselves from the screen. So, I mean, there can obviously be extreme cases. And, sometimes there are aggressive tendencies that, stem from, sometimes I'm sure you must have come across this as well. When an adult, the parents take away the teenager's phone, sometimes there are aggressive tendencies, which
Yeah.
again correlate to the amygdala. But yeah, withdrawal is something that is definitely really hard, to come out of from this, in this day and time from the screen.
I think
So,
just like we have these detox clinics where
mhm.
people go and detox from alcohol, very soon we are going to look at screen detox clinics.
Definitely. So, what would you suggest is the best way to, like, does detox really work in this sense? So, what would you say is the best way to detox from the screen?
See, like I started by saying, it's not a time that we can live without it,
Hmm.
right? So the thing to learn and to understand is what is the right amount of usage. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there have been some research around this. Some will say that, anything beyond 4 hours is damaging. Some studies say anything beyond hour and a half is damaging. Again, it depends on a wide range of age. I think for
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, it ranges somewhere between 1.5 to 4 hours, and when it gets damaging. But I would say for every individual, depending on what you're studying, what you're doing, what you're spending your time on, uh, you have to establish those boundaries for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And because you can use it positively, there is a way to use this screen time positively if you're consuming the content that's adding value to your life.
Mm-hmm.
And how much time do you want to spend consuming content versus action? So heart, mind, hand. So mind is the brain, heart is what you feel like doing, and hand is action. And we need a good balance of all three to have a balanced life. So how much of your time really you want to spend only on mind
Mm-hmm.
without any action? Because we all know, unless we are doing something about it, we are not getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Every single teenager needs to find the balance for himself or herself, and that is the only way. There is no one size fits all at all, which is why again it starts from awareness.
Definitely. So, one more thing that I have noticed is that my attention span has significantly gone down. Since I got social media, um, we now have videos that are 1 minute long, and some people still struggle to reach the end of that. So, attention span is definitely another part that has really been affected by social media. Have you experienced the same, or have you come across teenagers who've had similar problems and have come to you for help?
I think the way content is designed right now, it's designed to shorten our attention span, and it's affecting teenagers, adults, oldies equally. Earlier, we could sit and watch an hour of shows. Right now, 15 minutes laughs is what we are looking at, and
Mm,
that's the most popular
definitely.
segment. So I think we're kind of being tamed into this shorter attention span. It's so unproductive. It's so counterintuitive. But I'm glad you recognize that it's happening, and I hope there are many more like you who do. What do you feel there's any way we can deal with it, and do you think like uh, how does that affect our psychology? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Definitely, the neurotransmitters again involved are dopamine and acetylcholine. I don't want to, go too much into the technicalities of it, but I do feel like the amount of time that we're spending on our phones daily does hamper with the neurotransmitter levels in our brains. They keep fluctuating, which again does affect, our attention span in turn. And I have realized this with because I realized that my attention span was not so good. So I did some research on it, and I do hope that this does, help other people as well.
Keep going. It's been a great conversation, and I think we should keep this conversation going. And
Definitely.
I'm so happy to see that there's a teenager who's working on creating this awareness. It's just perfect.
So this was definitely really insightful. Thanks to Namita. And this conversation would keep going, but that's for another episode. So keep watching The Subtle Science.